introduce you to our wonderful host for the evening, Holly McKeag. Holly McKeag is a Denver-based graphic designer and illustrator with more than 25 years of creative experience. Since graduating from Georgia Southern University, she has worked with brands like Dale Carnegie Training, Creative Market, and Kappa Kappa Gamma, and her designs have been featured in publications such as Creating Keepsakes Digital Scrapbooking Magazine. You can find her illustrations and repeat patterns on Etsy and through her website, HelloHollyStudio.com. Holly runs a licensed sorority merchandise e-commerce store, Aspen and Lark, which is also aspenandlark.com, where she creates jewelry, stickers, art, and decor for 19 NPC sororities using her laser machines and design talents. Holly also serves as a volunteer for Kappa Kappa Gamma as the Pi District Public Relations Specialist. Beyond her business, Holly enjoys crafting miniature dollhouses and furniture with her laser cutter. Holly, we're absolutely thrilled to have you with us tonight, a second night especially. Before we hand things over, we wanted to share a quick snapshot of who is in the room tonight based on our registration questions. Our first question is, what is your sketch night energy? We had 7.6% of members say that they're the doodle queens, as in they draw all the time. We had 42.4 say that they are a stick figure specialist. They're just about the fun. And 50% of us are somewhere in between. I feel that too. We also asked, what is the creative artistic mood you are bringing? We had 47.7% who are soft and sweet. We had 13.8 who are bold and sassy. And we had a big group who are 38.5%, the colorfully chaotic group. So, Holly, you're among a room full of sweet, colorful, creative women who are excited to learn from your skill set. Holly, with that snapshot of tonight's group, we're so excited to learn from you. Thank you for being here. The floor is all yours. Yay.
Sorry, I just switched over to my audio again. Hi, everybody. I first just want to say hi, Sandy. Sandy is my big sister. So my big sis from Kappa. So it's exciting to see you.
So good to see you.
So I just wanted to say thank you to Kappa for letting me do this. This is so fun. Last night was really fun, and it was fun seeing these numbers. I think we were kind of opposite on the skill level as we were last night. So that's kind of interesting to see. But that's okay because everybody can be very basic in this. You do not have to be a good drawer to be a doodler or anything like that. And we're going to walk through some fun things, and I'll be able to give you some extra downloads you can get from Kappa. I think you guys are sending it out tomorrow probably, and it'll have some extra little like inspiration or follow through type exercises you can do. So I am going to say that this doesn't need a lot of supplies. This was something that was asked last night, and I thought I would just kind of cover it really quickly. To get started in drawing, all you need really is like a basic pile of copy paper and a pencil. I mean, you really can just start with that and have fun just with that. And then I do mention in this is that if you like to go a step further, these micron pens are really nice because they give you a nice ink black line when you're doodling. So if you're like me, where you were using like your pencil to sort of sketch out an idea and then use an ink to go over it, these pens are not going to bleed. They're archival inks. You don't want to use them for handwriting stuff. You just really want to use them for your art. And so this is like another thing that I always say, it's nice to invest in. Now, they are a little more money, so you're going to probably pay about $6 for one, which is kind of high for a pen, but it's totally worth it if you ask me. But those are the things we can kind of get started with. And so I'm going to flip my camera over to my phone so that it's above us and you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so paper, just basic paper, pen, and doodling. This is just the easiest thing you can do. And being pretty basic when you're drawing, you can see like my hearts when I just hand freestyle draw my hearts. I just do them something like this, and they're pretty basic. Mine tend to go kind of wonky a lot, and I love that. I love that organic feel when I'm drawing. And so sometimes I want my art to be a little bit more symmetrical, more a little perfect, if you will. And I thought I would just show you a fun way to draw a heart. And then we're going to take our hearts and we're going to draw 3 different things with hearts today. So you have a little variety to play with in your heart styles. And so, as I was mentioning, sometimes I need that like perfect looking heart. And if if I don't make sense here, basically it's like this. Sometimes I might draw one side and it's like this, and the other side might be like this. And you're like, oh, it's not perfect, right? I might want to have that kind of look. Well, I kind of want you to sort of start thinking about how you can use objects around the house or templates like this cheap little drawers template drawing. I don't know. Like I said last night, I wasn't sure if it's called like a drafter's template. I have no idea. They're like $6 for a pack of like 3 different shapes. But using shapes to think about how to draw and help you out in some of those instances where you want a little bit of perfection or basic things like, let's see, here it is here. This is just a little Play-Doh can. It's not very big. Lids to jars, little jewelry boxes that might be square, anything that might help you out in getting some shapes down to think about how to form something. So with a heart, if you look at it, a heart is pretty much two circles side by side, right? That's pretty much what a heart is at the top. And then it's just coming down off the sides to form the heart. Well, it's so easy when you just have something so simple that you can draw around and then move over, draw around. And then if you want to form some sort of line down the center to help you bring those points down, you can. You can just use a ruler, you can use whatever. And then all you need to do is just take and sort of sketch it down on the side and sketch it down on the side. And you end up with a better heart, right? Like the more perfect style heart. Then you can come in with your inking pen over it and then trace over it. I tend to draw better facing towards me, but coming in and inking around, and once you got it all done, then you can take your eraser and erase away all your pencil lines and end up with like a perfect heart that way on your paper. And so if you start thinking about some of the things you want to draw that you're having troubles with, and how can I use it, something like a household object to kind of help you fill in the shapes with it, then you can achieve something like that. The other thing about it that's kind of neat is something like this. I could do a taller heart if I wanted to bring that point down farther. So you're definitely going to have a lot of options when you're drawing that. So I want you all to draw a heart for me. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you have something on hand, a coaster, whatever, that's fine. You're welcome to do that tonight or explore that later. But I want you to draw a heart for me so you have an idea of kind of what we were going to do in the first piece that we're going to draw tonight. But before I do, I want to flip over to my iPad because I want to also touch on anybody who might be interested in digital drawing. And so this is the medium I tend to do mostly now, only because in my career, it just is easier. It saves me time and it lets me, send my work to my computer faster to digitize and get to my clients when they need it. So this is the method that I use. Now I have a really old iPad. It's probably about 7 years old, so it's not anything new. And I did send over today this because this question was asked about the software that I use, and I have a link to that. And it also has an FAQ to let you know what iPads the software works with. And in the beginning, it only worked with these iPad Pros. This was the only thing that software worked with. That software has improved so much over the years and has added so many features. Like you could do simple animations with it. Like me, I know nothing about animation, but it is so easy to do in this app. It's called Procreate. It has a drawing feature to it, but it is made just like Photoshop, if you will, but it has a little bit more control on the artistic side of it. And so it is a raster-based app. And if anybody who works in graphics or anything understands that, that pretty much means what you draw in here is the scale that you're stuck with. You can go smaller, but you can't go bigger without blurring everything. So I always like to make sure everybody understands that they're drawing at what they want and scale wise in the app itself. But it is super helpful. And it has a feature in it that I love. So as I was showing you on paper, the two hearts side by side and making that perfect little heart, this app gives me an option to use what they call symmetry. And it's pretty cool. I'm going to show you here what that is like. So in the app itself, under the toolbar, under Canvas, there's this drawing a guide part right here, and you can hit edit drawing guide. And this gives you a lot of different things. I could spend probably 2 hours with you guys on Procreate and teaching you so many things in this app, but this is just the one thing I really wanted to show you. is it has symmetry feature here. And symmetry, do you see that little line that's down the center there? That acts as a line to feature as you're drawing and creating something symmetrical on both sides. So if I were to draw on one side, it'll draw the same thing on the other side. And I can actually come under options and change, like, do I want that to draw top and bottom the same? Do I want to do a quadrant where it's like 4 corners? So it's pretty cool. But with vertical, I'm going to do side by side. And what I can do is just come in here and make sure my pen is right at that center line there. Whoops, hello, I'm on the eraser. That won't help me. The brush itself. And it will help me draw like that perfect heart, one side versus the other. So as you can see, that would speed up a lot of time and save a lot of frustration as you're drawing. So that is my go-to and what I love about drawing digitally. And then if I didn't like it, I can just erase it and I don't have to waste paper or anything. It's pretty easy for me to function that way. And let me tell you, when I show you some of my final pieces after we kind of sketch and play, you'll be like, wow, that looks really good. Well, it took me probably about 12 times tracing over and redoing something to get to that final piece. So when I don't have to waste my time and my paper, this makes that a little bit easier. So we're going to go ahead and move into the first little drawing that we're doing. I'm going to turn off this assist so it doesn't affect what you're seeing. And so the first thing we're going to draw is I kind of look at it as like a little heart pillow, right? It's this cute little heart pillow that you might have cut out of fabric, and then you're going to sew this pretty little ruffled edge around it, right? If you were doing it in seamstress world, but we're going to draw that. And as somebody who sometimes struggles with things like ruffles or even hair, I struggle with braids and things like, I don't know why. It's just the complication of trying to make it look real when I'm doing it. I kind of came up with a little technique to make drawing ruffles a little bit easier. And so what I'm going to do is show you how to do that. And we're going to create that. If you were looking at fabric that was folded, so if it looks like it's ruffled like this, I don't know if I can do it. You'll have like pieces of the fabric that are at the front and you'll have pieces of fabric that are in the back. So hopefully that makes a good visual of what we're doing. We're going to do that front part first. And so I like to call these like little squatty letter M's, if you will. I'm going to start right about here. And I just kind of come in and you see it kind of looks like a little M. I guess it could be like a tooth too, I guess. I don't know. But I'm just going to start with that. And then I'm going to space over a little bit and do it again. And I'm going to just do that as I go all the way around my heart. This is that front layer of that ruffle that we're creating. Now, if I had symmetry turned on, this would be faster for me because then it would be drawing these ruffles on the other side. But I'm going to do it with you all as you play here. And again, starting with your pencil is a great way to do this. If you want to use pen, you want to use color pencil, you want to use markers, whatever you want to do is totally fine. In fact, whenever I'm in meetings, and I'm going to give this away, my district director is here tonight. She's probably like, Holly, whenever I'm in my Zoom meetings, I doodle during all of them because it kind of helps me ground myself. And so I'm always drawing little things like this, or I'm drawing words that we're saying. And so it just helps me stay focused while I'm doing that. So I'm going to come up here. And they don't have to be perfect. And they don't even have to look exactly alike because fabric's organic. It doesn't have to have a perfection type of look to it. And if anybody's wondering, I use this little like thing to help tilt the iPad towards me. I do so much better drawing with that. So we're just going to keep going around until we fill in these little spaces. So it looks kind of weird right now, but that's that first front forward facing part of that ruffle. So as you finish up that part, we're going to go ahead and connect everything. And it's basically just making, it's like a very shallow U almost, where it's connecting up here like this. And we're going to go around and connect every one of these, just like that as we go around. Whoops, that one's a little wonky. I probably would have done that differently, but that's where it comes into like refining your drawings, right? It doesn't have to be perfect the first time. So I'm just sort of connecting them around that. And you may say, oh, I hate how this looks. Okay, well then like fix a couple you really like, get that pencil sketch going the way you really want it to look, and then you can finalize it. So like this looks a little weird. Like this would be something I would probably rework in some way just because I feel like it looks a little different. So as you've worked around and you've connected everything, it looks pretty good like this, but now we can add something else to it. We can add little, it almost looks like where it's been gathered at the fabric. And all you're doing is just coming in and maybe adding a few little random flicks of lines. They can do like one or two. You could do like, as many as you want. You could skip one if you wanted to. Um, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just go around and add little flicks of gathers. I guess that's what you call it when you're sewing. I didn't get the sewing gene in my family, so I got the drawing gene. My poor mother, when she goes, I'm going to have to auction all the sewing stuff we have in this house from her. I wish I did. I love designing fabric, though. That's fun for me. So once you're all done, you have something that looks like a pretty little ruffled heart, right? And so this can just be the basis of something fun to play with. You could do this 10 times and decorate it 10 different ways. I was showing last night how we could come in if we so like say you were using the micron pens to go in and ink your finished sketch or whatever. Like I said, these come in different weights, so you get different line widths as you're drawing. And so you may want to do like a thick line for your main outline and then a thin one for like a stripe, or you may make your stripe a color from a coloring pencil, marker, whatever. And so I might make mine a little thinner and be like, I'm going to just add a little cutesy little stripe, all around. So that might be something I do to kind of decorate that edge. Another thing is adding stitches. So right now, like that whole patchwork stitch thing is super popular. I sell stickers that look like that. And I mean, I can't keep those in my inventory. I have to constantly make those. The girls love those. But to just come around and sort of add little stitch lines all the way around your heart, you can do something like that too. Obviously, there's color you can add to it. And you can write in it if you want. I didn't show this part last night, and I want to show you all if I can remember where it is. If you're doing things digitally, there are some super fun brushes out there. I hope it's easy to find because I have to show you all. I think it's super, super fun. There are brushes out there that people make. Is it the cross stitch brush? No, might be fabrics. Yeah. They make brushes that look like fabric. Okay. So I could come in and just do like pink, and I've picked this brush that looks like gingham, and I can come in and, oops, hello, make my brush a little smaller and fill it in to look like gingham as I'm like painting it in. How cute is that? Super fun. So you can do a lot of really cool things digitally. Now, you could come in and draw gingham if you've got that talent. I don't really think I have that good of a talent, but some of the things that you can do digitally makes this, I think, a lot of fun. I want to show you like a final that I did, just to show you how it can look when you're done. And so this took me probably about 10 to 15 times sketching and scaling and getting it exactly the way I want it, and then going in and adding color and polka dots, and then I ended up making the little doily heart. All I did was take the heart and I did another layer on top of it, and I just did little scallops and erased my heart away. Now, for those of you on paper, if you're like, how can I do that on paper? So it's pretty simple. I always say if you can afford tools, great, get them. Things like light boxes are cool because then you can layer a piece of paper on it, the light shines through, and then you could put your clean paper on top and outline it and get that clean look. But if you don't want to do that, I mean, light boxes are only like 20 bucks, 25 bucks usually. But if you don't want to do that, you can actually tape your paper to like a sliding glass door or window and let the sunlight come through, and that can act like a light box for you. And then you can finalize and clean up your art and make it, how you want it. So I just wanted to show you what my final looked like on that one. But again, it took me quite a bit of time to get there. So don't want anybody to feel discouraged when you're doing it. So that's the first heart theme drawing situation. I'm not really sure what we're calling that, but project, I guess, that you can do. So the second one is going to be, I'm going to take this one actually and use it to guide me. It's going to be our little sucker. I call it a sucker like, when you're a kid, you used to get those little cheap suckers that had the little plastic, looked like a little sleeve and you ripped it off like that. We're going to do one of those. Those are super cute. Those are probably for our bold and sassy and chaotic kind of drawers. I don't know. You can go with super bright colors and just be having a lot of fun with that. So with this, I'm going to just, let me duplicate this because this will make teaching you a little easier. I'm going to go ahead and just draw a heart that's a little bit smaller because we want to make room for the stick, but we also want to make room for the packaging. So if you're drawing a heart and you want to create something on a fresh page, you want to go a little bit smaller and give yourself a little bit of space. And one of the things I like to mention is, I wish I had one. I should have gotten one for this class, but when you're drawing these and you look at one of these suckers, they're very cheap, right? Whatever that cornstarch syrup mix is, when it goes to form the heart, it's not like a perfect heart. It tends to have a little bit of like a little, it kind of comes like this across the shape of the heart, and the bottom is probably kind of rounded. So you don't end up with something perfect when you're doing it. So I might go in and just do this. Make sure my heart has that kind of more loose look to it. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can go in and make it as tall as you want and around, but they like to have that little, just, I don't know, sloppy look from the mold that it was in. It's not perfect. And so you would start with your little heart, something like this. And then for the stick, we're going to come in, and I feel like this drawing is probably one of the easier ones, but we're just going to do 2 lines. So, and you would start at the bottom inside of your sucker because they are transparent, so you're going to see through them. You're going to come down and draw 1 line. And then on the other side, just parallel to it, you're going to do the same thing on the other side. If you want to use a ruler, you can use a ruler, use an edge of a book or anything. When I'm doing the 2 ends, I tend to sort of round them so they get, so they look like a little lollipop stick or whatever, sucker stick, something like that. Okay, and so this next part can be very organic, and it's the wrapper. And I always say, this is probably one of the easiest things you do because there's no perfection to it. We're going to draw a super loose kind of square around everything. It's going to look like this, just very loose because your packaging is kind of loose, something like that. Whoops, hello. Do that. And then similar to what we did with the ruffle, we're going to do sort of a crinkle edge at the top and the bottom. And it's going to follow a little bit like that, but instead of doing 2 parts to it, we're going to do 1 because we're just going to use little lines to help identify things. So on this, we can go crazy and loopy and not, perfect. We're going to come in and just draw a wavy edge across the top like this. And then we're going to do the same thing at the bottom. I think this is probably how, I can't remember if they used to come attached across. I don't remember. So you're creating this like clear plastic that goes over it. Now we're just going to take, just like we did with the ruffle, we're just going to come in and just sort of add little lines to it where that paper might sort of be wrinkled, if you will. It's not like fabric because it tends to get more folded, I think, and it's smaller, so it doesn't have a lot of flow to it. And so we're just going to come across, and it's okay that we see through the stick and everything because it's supposed to be transparent. And then what I like to do now is because a lot of times, especially if these have been sitting in the car or something, the plastic sort of starts to stick together a little bit. So you just make little fun kind of parts where maybe the plastic is starting to stick to each other around. And it might be sticking to the lollipop, a little bit right there. And then you have a little sucker and you can actually do some kind of fun phrase on it. I think last night I did sucker for you, didn't I? So it was like you could write sucker and then you could do like the for and the you and make it kind of fun. And this is kind of one of those designs I think can be fun and bold and colorful. And I think it's really easy to do. So as you look at this, I'm going to show you what my final looks like. I was showing everybody how I would color it, and then I thought I'm going to show how this would look like in the end. And so I just did mine in a more bold colorway, right? I did a red outline because I thought the red really kind of went with that hot pink. And then I made sure wherever my plastic was, it was light so that you would look like you would see through. But where it was sticking was a little bit more opaque. So it just kind of looks like it's sticking. And then the lollipop, doing it a little darker here and then a little darker where the stick might go inside. And yeah, I just thought, oh, that's a cute little thing. I can see this like in a teenager's bedroom or something hanging on the wall. It's super cute. But that is the Sucker for You lollipop design. And I think that's pretty easy to do. So the next we're going to do is a heart and lock, like a heart locket and a key. And this one's going to take a little bit longer, but I think you will enjoy it. So with your heart drawn, I want to just have you do it to the side a little bit because we're going to draw a key, like a vintage antique key on this side. So as you draw your heart, make sure you leave enough room for that. And then we're going to go into learning how to make a bow too. So this one's going to be a little bit more, I think, intense, a little bit more complicated, if you will. So as I'm using the same heart throughout all of these, you can make all of your hearts different shapes. You can make them long, you can make them, shorter if you want, your call. But for this one, we're going to do a padlock and it's going to be a little heart-shaped padlock. And so I want you to visualize like it being like a red enamel kind of around it. And then the front has like maybe a little brass plate on top that's kind of embossed, or if you will, so it has like a little bit of design to it. So I would take my heart and I would just come in, and this is where symmetry would help me because I tend to do so much better with it. Another trick is, and I think I mentioned this a minute ago, I like to draw towards me. I get a little bit more control of my line versus trying to draw away from me. So if you're having struggles trying to get your lines, especially doing these little edges that are curved, try that. Try drawing towards you. You might find that works out a little bit better. So I'm going to draw the inside of this part where the brass plate would be first. And so I'm just going to follow around something like this. I might, if I was being real nitpicky, I'd probably erase that and make that more perfect, but we're just going to pretend that's okay. And then I'm going to take this one, come around and come in like this. And so this is going to be the little brass plate, if you will. Now, before we decorate that, let's go ahead and make that little loop that looks like I guess that's the little hook part of the lock. So I'm going to make like an upside down U going from side to side. So just like a little U that's something like this, and then come in and do another one as it follows it. Just like this. So that's the top of my padlock, if you will. Now I'm going to next go in and draw the keyhole. So the keyhole is basically like a triangle with a circle on top. So a circle, and then you would just come in and draw something like this. And if you wanted to erase away so it's just one little piece, you could certainly do that too. So you create this little padlock. Now, for me, I'm going to show you how symmetry would work on this next part that I think is kind of fun, especially if I want to get real crazy in my doodles and make them look the same on both sides. I'm going to turn on the drawing assist and I'm going to bring that symmetry over so it's sort of in the middle of my heart there. Now what I'm going to do is draw what I want to draw on one side versus the other. I'm going to go ahead and just draw a heart in this corner, and you can decorate yours any way you want. But then I'm going to come in and draw some like scrolly lines, anything that kind of gives it some of that embossed vintage antique look to it. Maybe another little heart down here, maybe another little swirly line in here. However you want to fill yours in to make it look like that fun vintage embossed look. And then I like to sometimes fill in things with dots. I think that gives it an interesting and unique look as well. So you end up with like a cute little heart padlock here, which is the easy part of this. We're going to go ahead and move into the key here in a minute. I'm going to move mine down. So, oops. So mine is, whoops, hello. So we have a little bit of space here. All right, so next thing we're going to do is work on our key. And so the key is going to have a heart as well. It's going to have a heart at the top of it. And I'm going to do mine. So I'm going to do mine, I think, maybe this way. Well, I don't want to put it on top of it because I don't want to confuse you too much with erasing pieces away. So I'm just going to make mine kind of go this way, maybe, and lean. So I'm going to start up here. And of course, you could put this anywhere when you're sketching and then cut it out and move it around until you're ready to do your final piece. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the inside part of my heart first. This is going to be the top of the key, of the antique key. And then I'm going to come in and draw an outside piece. And I'm going to stop right about here before I get to the center when I'm drawing. So this is like the top of our little vintage key. I'm going to turn my page this way. It might make it easier. So once you get that, you can take where each one of these open and draw two parallel lines that come out like this. Something like that. Of course, mine is not perfectly straight, but you get the point. And then I'm just going to round off the edge here. And now what you can do is draw the little part that has the little, parts that go into the padlock. And for this one, I'm just going to come in and draw one line here, one line here. And then next I'll come and draw one line here, down, down. And you'll come over and over. And we're just repeating the same thing on each side until we create that little portion of the key. I'm sure there's an official term for that, but I don't know what that is. And then if you really wanted to get creative, you could add little details to, your key, come in and then, erase away some of these little parts and make it kind of fun. Yeah, that's really crooked, but that's okay. You could even come in and maybe add swirls around it if you wanted, or little fun dots around it and create something unique like that. Now I'm going to show you my final, and then I'm going to walk you through how to make a bow because I want to show you the final first and how you can combine everything to make this really fun entire key to your padlock. I did this a little differently last night, and then I thought today would be fun to create one of these little worksheets. And you'll be able to get this. It'll be sent to you. But it's how to draw a bow, and bows are having a moment. I mean, my shirt has a bow on it. It's quite the fun thing to do. And so basically, I'm going to come down here to this one. And so I can just kind of walk you through what I'm doing, and then you can practice this at home later. But basically, to create a really fun, loose, floppy bow that's not perfect in any way is to start out with the knot of the bow. And so it's really just a loose kind of square, if you will. It doesn't have to be real perfect when you're drawing it. So I always start there. And then I move to one side. And what I do first is I draw the outside of that loop first. So I'm just going to kind of come in and get real loose, nothing perfect. Okay. And I might do it on the other side, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Like this is one I would never use symmetry on. I'm just gonna, you know, kind of have fun with wherever my hands flow when I'm doing it. I think sometimes the more you let it just happen, the more creative they get. And so that outside loop. Now, if you've looked at a ribbon before, now the ribbon I used yesterday as an example doesn't do this, but a lot of times ribbon, especially really loose, thin ribbon, tends to twist when you're tying a bow. And so to make that look like a twist is to simply come in here and then let it touch the edge and then come back around. And so it almost looks like it's twisted as it's being tied. Same thing on this side. I was going to show you the final first. Oh, well, I'm going to show you this and then I'll go back to the final. So that's how you make the little loops. Now on this side, this is really simple. All you're doing is starting with right at where the loop touches the knot. You don't want to go in here because that wouldn't make sense, but up here is about where it would start. So this is the end of your ribbon. So however you want to make that come down. And then same thing here. You want to start here because they would be kind of pinched in together there. And then you can just make a little V at the end. And then yesterday I showed them how to do the other one as if, say, the ribbon kind of was folded and twisting. And this is a lot easier than you think. So again, as you're doing this side over here, you'll start right here where the knot and the loop touch. Draw your first little line. And then as you do your second one, you're almost immediately going to cross over. And so you're just crossing over and creating that little twist in it. And then coming in and finishing it off. So then you can make a really super bow. And this little tutorial will walk you through each of these that you'll get for that. And so my final, when I did this, looked like this. So I did a heart with a key, and then I tied a little bow to have them kind of interlocking together. And so if you're drawing on paper or you're drawing digitally, think of everything as individual pieces. And then how can I take those sketches, put them together and make them kind of cohesive, and you get something fun like this. And then last night I did show quickly how to do a polka dot, and I'll show you on the black and white version of this one, just to give you an idea. And then we'll let Sophie take back over and let you ask questions. So to make a polka dot, I always tell everybody this is the easiest way to do it. So I'm going to do it big so you can see what I'm doing. But you want to do them in rows, and you're just going to do dots and space them out in a row, right? And then the next row you're just doing it in between. And then the next row, you're just following the same one. And then you get a polka dot pattern that's really easy to use. Now, I would almost 100% bet if you use Procreate, there's probably a brush that makes a pet polka dot pattern for you. That would save a lot of time. But in something like this, for say the bow, I might start up here with a dot, like maybe my row is going like this. And then maybe my next one is going like this, and then down, and then, in between. And so it's just, instead of trying to like randomly space them out and then when they start looking weird, this tends to be a little bit of an easier way, I think, to do it. Like that looks a little strange. See how they're all kind of close together. So I might take and just try to make sure they're more spaced out like that. So you can do polka dot ribbons, stripe ribbons, all kinds of things. I was showing last night just this one sampler that I had done, and I have different types of ribbons. I have some that look like this with stripes, some like this, and yeah, basic ones like this. So there's a lot of fun little things you can do with bows and kind of adding to everything. And this is one of the final pieces I did recently for Valentine's Day with another little bit of things. Like I have the sucker here as well. So anyway, I think that's it for what I can show you. I know that you're going to get downloads. I'm going to make sure you have a copy of the color version of each one. and a black and white version of each one so that you can use it to trace or color if you're a coloring person. And then you'll get, like I said, the draw a bow technique here too. I think that's all I have. If anybody has questions, do I have an example of a sketch one? Somebody said here.
Yeah, anything you draw, because I have color pencils and I'm trying to put together like, I don't know, I love colors, so I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. So I was just curious if you had any that you like hand drew
Let's see.
or color schemes.
So right now, my favorite color scheme follows this color scheme, which is like blues and purples and pinks. I know it's a weird combination, but I love those. They're kind of my go-to right now. I love to do. Like I did this little bunny in blues and pinks. I'm a non-traditionalist when it comes to holiday colors. So I kind of like having fun with different colors. But for that, I'm going to show you real quickly a palette and color. Let's do. Um, can you see this little palette here? It looks like a rainbow palette that I tend to use all the time, but they're a little bit muted. So they're not like really bold and vibrant, but then I use shades of a color. So like I might have a main color in this middle row. I'll have a dark version and a light version, and I can use that to shade or add other kind of depth to my drawings. So a lot of times once I build a palette, like that's my go-to. And I'll try to pick colors from that when I'm making things. Um, yeah, so when I did this one, I actually pulled from that color palette right there. So it's just that red and then a little bit of darker red and the pink. So I didn't really stray away from that one. I tend to do that a lot lately now using that same color palette. So um I will say you can find a lot of people on Instagram who are artists who like to create color palettes for the month to work with, like different ones. So if you're looking for some inspiration, that's a good way to do it. With this color palette, again, it was that same palette I pulled from that I showed you. And I just used my pinks, reds, um, white, yeah, just various shades of it. And so I had fun with that. So I always say draw in black and white first and then experiment with color. I'm the type of person who doesn't want to use color right away. I like to just draw it in black and white first and make sure it's going to work. This is another one where I did a pattern with the lobsters, and it's that same color palette I pulled from. I just played with blues and pinks. I don't know why I'm kind of drawn to that blue and pink kind of look. So hopefully that helped. Yes, $12.99. Okay, so the question was asked, Procreate is $12.99. It's a one-time buy. It's lifetime. It's for the upgrades. I think when I bought it, it was $9.99, but that was like 7 or 8 years ago, maybe. So, but I did want to quickly show too, like if you just want to buy cheap sketchbooks at the dollar store, I mean, I would come in and draw. These are old. These are so old, where I would just draw little sketches with my pencil. And then sometimes I would go with my pencil and draw over with my micron pen and just have fun, drawing little things. My Lola got drawn into every character possible. I mean, at one point, I was going through all the Walking Dead characters with Lola. So if that tells you anything, yeah, just having fun drawing with pencil first. Like if you could see, you would see where my pencil lines are. But that's what I would come in and do a lot of times, and just at night sit and draw kind of fun stuff. Or I practice hand lettering and try to play with that before I went into the digital side of things. And then another thing I did want to show you all that I wish I had shown last night, if people were asking about inspiration, this right here, these books, they're called 20 Ways To. You can get them on Amazon, and they have the coolest, like just inspirations. You want to draw TVs? Here's 20 TVs. Here's 20 brooms. I mean, there are so many different books like this. So look these up if you're looking for inspiration. I don't get anything out of these. These are fun. I think different artists put them together. So if you're looking for something fun to inspire you to doodle, these are fun. I love them. All right, I think I'm running into the time. So Sophie, I'll stop.
No, you're perfect. I was actually going to ask if people felt comfortable like holding up their doodles so that we could take a photo of everybody holding up their masterworks. I'm going to unpin you for a second, Holly, just so I
Okay.
can have everybody who wants to be in the photo and video. We took some really cute photos of everybody last night with theirs. Oh my gosh.
Uh,
Oh my gosh, everybody's turned out so good.
I love
Stop.
seeing these.
Oh my goodness. Everybody's looks
Oh, Shelby's here. Hi,
amazing.
Shelby.
Oh my
I
gosh,
love
it
it.
turned everybody's turned out so good. My bow
Yeah.
was where I was starting to struggle. I don't know about anybody else, but
Bows can be hard, but now that's like my thing. I love to draw bows. I can draw them like crazy now. Maybe there's a 20 ways to draw a bow. I don't know. We'll have to look it up and find out. Or maybe I need to do one.
you might need to, Holly. So if anybody has any questions, make
Go make
sure
that money.
to
Don't let somebody else take that idea. Go make a book. How
I
to do
should.
both.
I should.
yes, if anybody else has some questions, make sure to just drop them in the chat. We pulled some from registration to get us kicked off just so that we could ask some of the questions that we saw people write in. So our first one is for you, Holly. What is one doodle you never get tired of drawing?
Bows. I think bows go in pretty much everything I do. I tend to do that a lot. And flowers. Flowers are timeless. They're never gonna go, out of style. One of the things I do sell a lot of in my repeat patterns that I sell for fabrics that people can buy, a lot of the that preppy grand millennial kind of look where it's just very like cute flower, pink, blue bow, it's got that look to it. That's kind of like a, a no-brainer for me.
I love
But
that.
I like to doodle. I used to love to doodle Lola, my dog, all the time.
Well, you're really good at it. Lola looked beautiful in all of your doodles you showed
He
us.
did.
How do you get past a creative block when the page feels intimidating?
I just walk away. And I will say, Flourish has probably been the first time I've picked up my pen and my drawing in like 2 weeks. That wasn't for my job, like just to do for me and try to have fun with it. I can get in a rut, emotionally. Like sometimes if my mental health isn't good, the last thing I want to do is draw. Or maybe I'm just tired and it's like, ugh, I don't want to do this. But sometimes when my mental health isn't good, drawing is good for me. So, just kind of learning to listen to your mind and your body and what you feel comfortable doing. It's okay not to draw. So, if you're not feeling it, step away. Yeah.
What is your advice for people who say, I'm not creative?
I think everybody has some bit of creativity. I think it's just finding what that outlet is. I mentioned that I didn't get the sewing bug in my family. My nana, my grandma, my mom, my aunt, all. So, I mean, if I could show you my mom's sewing room, you'd be like, oh my God, so much stuff. I was forced to sew in high school. I remember my mom made me sew my Easter dress, and I think it's because I was forced to do it. I didn't really like doing it. So I think as long as everybody takes some time to explore different things, maybe it's knitting, maybe it's scrapbooking, maybe it's card making. Yeah, like card making, that's another thing. You can buy stamps and color in. Maybe that's your creative outlet. Coloring, that kind of thing. So yeah, explore different things. I think you have something. You just have to find what it is.
I agree. How has sisterhood influenced your creative style over the years?
Well, it's funny. So I was banner chair in college, and I would sit out in my parking lot at my apartment, and I would do our banners for our sorority, for our events, and that they would be hung on, what was that street called? I can't even remember what that street was in Statesboro, but anyways, they would hang there. And so I did that, and then I um started to kind of drift away from all of it. I didn't really do too much. And then I feel so fortunate because Marcom at Kappa has hired me for projects, various projects. The foundation's hired me for some projects. And so I feel pretty fortunate. And those things have kind of sparked my joy with that and connections with other Kappas. And so yeah. And then stuff like this, I just think it's fun and I get to help my district with projects. We do a newsletter and I feel creative outlet in helping do that for our district. And then of course with doing other sorority designs as well. I love doing all of the work I do with Aspen work with my business making, stickers and other products, not just for Kappa, but for other sororities. So I like that sisterhood connection that I get to see in my everyday life. So
But before you go, don't forget to check out what's coming up next. On February 19th, we have a meaningful estate planning conversation with Tiana Ronstadt and a book club on March 5th with Rachel Upshaw with her novel Greek Lovers. It's going to be your next favorite beach read. You'll find all the links to the upcoming events in the chat now and on the Kappa website, so be sure to save your spot. Thank you again for being part of the Flourish community tonight. We can't wait to gather again with you very soon. So until next time, good night, sisters, and happy Galentine's Day.